here are the math boxes for lesson 8-4. So number 1 is asking us to divide. So I'm going to do 1 with partial product, and I'm going to do 1 with, partial quotient and 1 with traditional. So let's do A, and we're going to do that the traditional long division way. So the first thing we're going to do is, can 3 go into 5? It can. It can go into 5 1 times. So 3 times 1 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. So now I move on to the next place value. I bring down this 6. Can 3 go into 26? Well, 26 is a multiple of 3. Oh, I'm sorry. 26 is not a multiple of 3 because 6 times 9 is 27. That's too big. And 6 times 8 is 24. So I'm going to do 3 times 8, which is 24. And then subtract 26 minus 24. And I would get 2. So then I'm going to bring down the next place value. So now this number becomes 29. What is a multiple of 3 that would get me close to 29? Well, 3 times 9 is 27, so that's pretty close. And 3 times 10 is 30, and that's too big. So I'm going to go with 3 times 9. So I'd put the 9 above the 9. And 3 times 9 is 27. And when I subtract, I get 2. And then I bring down the 1, and now this number becomes 21, which is a multiple of 3. Because 7 times 3 is 21, and you have no remainder. So your answer is 1,897. Okay, this next one we're going to do partial quotient, so I'm going to draw my line on the side. Now, what is a multiple of 8 that will get me close to 8,107? Well, I know that 8 times 1,000 will give me 8,000. So that's pretty close. And I'm left with 107. And I can do 8 times 10 gives me 80. So 8 times 10 gives me 80. And if I subtract 107 minus 80, I get 27. Now, I know that 27 is not a multiple of 8. So I already know that I'm going to have a remainder. So let's see, 8 times 4 is 32. That's too big. So I could do 8 times 3, which is 24. And I'm left with 3. Oh, sorry, 8 times 3. So then if I add all this together, 1,013 is my answer. So you always want to put your answer up at the top. So 1,013 with a remainder of 3. So this is your answer. Okay, let's look at number 2. We are subtracting fractions. So 4/5 minus 1/5 is, still in my highlighter. Let me change my color. Is 3/5. Okay, now look at where my equal sign is. So 7/3 minus 2/3. So 7 minus 2 is 5. And my denominator stays the same, 5/3 or 1 2/3 if you change it to a mixed number. Okay, my equal sign is here. 7 halves minus what would give me 4 halves? Well, I know that 7 minus 3 will give me 4, and my denominator stays the same. So it's 7 halves minus 3 halves equals 4 halves. Okay, 11/12 minus what would give you 4/12? Well, 11 minus 7 would give me 4, and my denominator stays the same. So 11/12 minus 7/12 will give you 4/12. Okay, let's look at number 3. We are adding mixed numbers. So you do want to do your fractions first in case you have to change an improper fraction to a mixed number. So 3/8 plus 1/8 is 4/8, and then 1 plus 1 is 2. So 2 4/8. Okay, the next one. 2/5 plus 3/5 equals 5/5. Well, I already know that that is a 1. So 1 plus 3 plus 2 is 6. So my answer is 6. Okay, 5/6 plus 5/6 will give me 10/6. And 5 plus 2 is 7. So you can do 7/10, or you can exchange, you could change your fraction into a mixed number and you would get 8/4. I'm sorry, 8 4/6. Okay, D. 7 3/10 minus 8 9/10. So 3/10 plus 9/10 is 12/10. And 7 plus 8 is 15. Now we have to change 15 and 12/10 to 16 and 2/10. Okay, number 4. The knitting club collected leftover pieces of yarn. It has 3,450 feet of lamb's wool yarn, 1,488 feet of linen yarn, and 2,568 feet of merino wool yarn. The club plans to donate the yarn in equal shares to the art department at 6 schools. How many yards of yarn will each school get? So this is a 3-step problem. So I'm going to actually divide my area here into 3 steps. Step 1 is going to figure out how many feet you have in total. So you would do the lamb's wool, which is 3,450, plus the 1,488 linen yarn and the 2,568 feet of merino wool yarn. And if I added this all together, I would get 7,506. Now, I have to take that 7,506 and make it into 6 groups. So I'm going to divide. So number 2, actually let me change my color, is going to be 6 divided by 7,506. Okay. Can 6 go into 7? Yes, it can go into 7. And maybe I'll color code so it's easier to understand. 1 time. 6 times 1 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. So now let's move to the next place value. I'd bring the 5 down. This now becomes 15. 6 can go into 15. 3 times is too much, so 2 times. And notice I'm lining up the numbers with the place value that they go with. So make sure you do that when you are dividing. 6 times 2 is 12. Oh, I wanted to do it. Oh no, green's fine. 12. And I'm left with 3. So now I have to move to the next place value, which is bringing that 0 down. This now becomes 30. And I know that 6 times 5 is 30. And I don't have any remainder there. So I bring down that 6. And 6 times 1 is 6. So I have 0 remainder. So I figured out they can do 1,251 feet of yarn going to each school. But now number 3 says they have to take the total number of feet and you are going to divide that by 3 because they're asking you how many yards. They want the answer in yards, not feet. And I know there's 3 feet in every yard. So I'm going to do the same thing I just did. And I'm going to divide 3 divided by 1,251. Okay. 3 cannot go into 1. So instead of putting a 0 there, I'm just going to leave it blank since it's the start of the number. 3 can go into 12 4 times. And 4 times 3 is 12, so I have no remainder. So I'm going to bring the 5 down. 3 cannot go into 5 evenly, but it can go into 5 1 time. 3 times 1 is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. And I'm going to bring that 1 down. And I know that 3 can go into 21 7 times. So your answer is 417 yards will go to each school. Okay, circle the correct answer. So first let's do the problem. So 5 times 7 eighths. I know that 5 times 7 is 35 eighths. So I already know it can't be A. It can be B. And we have to think of something that is equivalent, just in case. That's not equivalent and that's not equivalent. So your answer is B. Okay, finally, we're going to be practicing multiplication. So for A, you're multiplying 4 digit by 1 digit, and B is 2 digit by 2 digit. Okay, so let's do the 4 digit by 1 digit. So 7 times 6 is 42. And then 6 times 3 is 18 plus 4, which would give me 22. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 2 is 8. And then 8 times 6 is 48. So your answer is 48,822. And I just realized you might not be able to see this color on your screen. So let me go over it with a darker color. Okay, let's do B. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. Now I have to put my 0 placeholder because this 5 is actually 50. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 2 is 12. And your answer is 1,320. Okay, that's it for lesson 8-4. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments on your Google Classroom.